Hello and welcome back again. As you can see here, we are in the puppy pen right now. We currently have a litter of LGD puppies that were born on April 10th. They are ready to go if somebody is looking. But since we have an active litter and it's been a few years since I've done an LGD puppy video, I thought I would take advantage and go over some what I feel are key points to getting an LGD puppy. Now, whether you're a veteran to having them or you're brand new, hopefully this information will help you out. So these guys right here, we have been doing this since they were first born. But when you do get a new LGD puppy, because these guys get so big, I want you to go in and pinch all over their bodies. Pinch all over their bodies and mimic what would be giving them an injection. In the case that they have to go to the vet for something or you need to give them an injection, you don't want them to be panicking. Another thing, see how I'm grabbing his mouth and putting my hands in his mouth? Here, putting hands in mouth. What this is that it's getting them used to putting your hands in their mouth in the case that you ever have to give them a medication by pill by the mouth. When these guys are big, 100+ pounds, you don't want an aggressive dog that you're going to have to be chancing putting your hands in their mouth. So this is not only for your safety, but it's to help the dog. Leash training is another thing I highly recommend. These guys get big and you don't want to chance not being able to walk them on a leash in the chance that they do need to go to the vet or something like that. But so these guys were born April 10th and you can already see the size of them. Hi. They are some cuties though. But yeah, these guys they're going to be big. So the next thing I want to talk about is their food. It is extremely important because these are large breeds to find a large breed puppy food. I've had several people ask me, like, can't I just go to a high protein? And the short answer is no. The reason you want to do a large breed puppy food is because the calcium and protein is very well balanced. If you put them on a straight high protein food, you're going to cause the muscles to grow faster than their bones can because there's not enough calcium in the food. With these guys getting so big, if that happens, you're going to risk a chance of potential hip or elbow dysplasia. Now, hip and elbow dysplasia, we're going to go into the next thing. If you're going to get one of these extra large breeds, let me get this straight here. I am 100% not against spaying and neutering. I'm not against it. I've had both. It does not make a difference on their ability to work. I have intact ones. I have ones that are fixed. They still get the job done and work. Whoop, that one got me. They still get the job done. But if you are going to commit to a breed like this, please know 18 months is the absolute minimum age to get this done. If you can wait till they're 2 years old, that is absolute best. The reason behind this, recent studies over the last few years, and I've had conversations with my veterinarian about this, when you spay or neuter them before 18 months old, you are cutting off the reproductive hormones, which is what you're wanting to do. Yes, I hear you there. The reproductive hormones are what helps the growth plates to grow. So when you cut off reproductive hormones, you stop these growth plates from growing. When that happens, you are putting them up at a high risk for hip and elbow dysplasia and early arthritis. So if you're going to get an LGD breed or really any large or extra large breed, please know this is something you're going to have to commit to, and do not spay or neuter them before they are 18 to 24 months old. This is for both males and females. So just keep that in mind. Have a place if you're going to have them and you need to keep them separate, especially if you have a female, to prevent an unwanted litter or anything like that. Hello there. We are very active this morning. It's somewhat cool this morning, so that's probably why they're so active. The next thing we're going to talk about is I like to work on these guys because they get big. No jumping. I'm not a fan of them jumping on me. For the most part, you could see they're pretty good. We've been working with them. Besides the fact they untied my shoes, they're pretty good about not jumping. I said these guys get big, and you don't want to have a child walk into the pen and a 140-pound dog jumps on them and takes them to the ground, and then they think it's playtime. So I like to make sure getting the jumping and stuff out of them. Another big thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is sibling syndrome. It is very real. Does it happen all the time? Absolutely not. It does not happen all the time, but it can happen. And if it does, it is scary, and it's probably not going to end the way you want to. Now, sibling syndrome does not necessarily mean litter mates. It is any puppies that are within 1 year of each other. They do not have to be litter mates. What happens, and I've seen it the worst with 2 females, but it can happen with any pairs, is it can go one of a few ways. 1, they're perfectly fine and nothing happens. 2, they are going to bond to each other and not whatever they're supposed to be guarding, whether it's poultry, sheep, goats, etc. They're going to bond to each other and not their herds or flocks. Then they see the flocks or the herds as their enemy, and they will end up attacking and hurting them. I have seen this happen. I had a guy come to me years ago, bought 2 females, put them in with their sheep herd, and the 2 sisters started killing all the sheep. Adults, babies, everything. They had to keep them tethered up at all times. That's not a life for a big dog. So they can bond to each other, and then everything else to them is the enemy. The next thing, when these guys reach sexual maturity, is when the real trouble can usually happen. And I have seen this happen. We have not had it personally, but I have tried working with people where this has happened to. When those hormones start raging, in LGD breeds, I have noticed the females seem to be a little bit more dominant. When those hormones start to rage, one of them is going to want to become alpha. If the other one does not step down, that's where you have trouble. These guys will fight to the death. They will hurt each other, and that is not something that you want. You don't want to set your dogs up for failure, especially to hurt each other or potentially kill each other. So fighting between, I don't want to say siblings, but 2 like-aged puppies can happen. And it's usually going to be about that 1 year to 2 year mark when those hormones start changing and raging and things like that. It can happen between males. It can happen between a male and female. I've seen it a lot and heard of it a lot between 2 females. So sibling syndrome, if you are going to get an LGD, do not get 2 puppies within a year of age. Get 1, let it get accustomed to you, let it get accustomed to your herds, let it get about to a year, year and a half. Then you can consider adding in another puppy and then start the training up with that one. Once you have an established LGD, training is pretty much not 100%. Most of it's going to be on your LGD. They're going to do most of the training. They're going to help teach the little guys, we don't chase, we don't bite, with the herd and things like that. Now, another topic, this is going to depend 100% on the individual dog. A lot of people say they are not to be trusted until they're 2 years old. On an average, yes, that is true. I have seen a year-old, both males and females, being able to go out and work and guard completely on their own. And I've seen some at 3 years old still have to be monitored 24/7. So it all depends on the individual dog. I do not feel like there is a set age, but 2 years on average is when you would want to trust them to be with livestock. And what I do is, as you can see, these guys here are in a pen right next to sheep and goats. There's Dad out there. And yes, he has a yoke collar on because he likes to climb over fences. So this is for his safety. We do live next to a highway. I do have videos posted on how to do the yoke collars and the benefits of them. But anyway, like I said, they're right next to sheep and goats. They have been with them since they were born. But since we do have a whole litter of puppies, I don't want to add any sheep or goats physically in the pen with them, just because they're puppies. They want to chase, they want to bite, and they get a little rough with the goats sometimes. And then because these are all adults, we don't have any babies right now. I don't want to chance the adults hurting the puppies because they're just being a puppy. So back to the maturity thing. When you are going to be putting them in with your herd, I like to do monitored visitations, is how I like to call it. So I will take them in the pen and I will sit there with them and I just watch and see how they interact with whatever you're having them guard. Watch them. And something I suggest is getting an empty soda bottle or water bottle, fill it up with some rice, beans, rocks, whatever, put the lid on. Whenever they start doing something that they are not supposed to, in a very, very firm voice, tell them no, shake it, and throw it in the opposite direction. You're redirecting their energy. So when you were trying to get them to not build bad habits, you have about a 5-second window to correct these dogs. If you do not correct them within 5 seconds, they don't understand why they're getting in trouble. So, and this is why I say supervised visitations whenever you're having them with your herds or whatever you're trying to introduce them to. You've got about a 5-second window to get them corrected on their bad behavior. Cute little guys. So 5-second window, something to distract them, throw in the opposite direction. As they get a little bit bigger, if you need to use a shock collar, you can do a shock collar. A shock collar works really well, especially one with a remote. You don't have to crank it up all the way, just enough to kind of scare them. But if you have the shock collar, as they are ready for you to start moving away to where they can't see you, you have the ability to hide and watch from a camera or from a distance. And when they start doing an unwanted behavior, you can either send them a slight little zap or use the buzzer button, where it just sends like a really high-pitched noise that's going to distract them from whatever bad behavior that they're doing. So those are some options that you can do. Let's see, what else? They're puppies. They're puppies until they're 1 year to 2 years old. And they're going to act like puppies, even though, like I said, these guys were born in April. You know, they're big. They don't look necessarily like a puppy anymore, but they're a puppy, and they're going to go through that crazy juvenile stage, which these guys are approaching right now. And it takes patience, a lot of patience, when you have an LGD puppy. And there's going to be days where you're going to be like, what did I get myself into? This is not working. And then one day they're just going to snap and they are going to be the best guardian dog ever. And you're going to be like, where have you been this whole time? And that happens. But just remember, they go from puppy stage, they go to that teenage stage, and then the young adult where they don't quite know where they are. Hormones are starting to rage. Yes, I hear you there. And then you've got your LGD finally. It takes time. So if you don't want to go through the whole puppy phases, something to consider is one that is 1 year or older. A lot of people do prefer to get a puppy. That way they can start their training and they can get everything established at a young age, how they would like their program to run, which is either way is perfectly fine. But I hope some of these tips helped you. If you guys have any questions, you know, I'm always here to reach out. If you're looking for an LGD puppy, these guys are available. I have 2 girls and 4 boys left. Dad is a Turkish Boz and an absolute excellent guardian. At 1 year old, he was able to guard completely by himself. Amazing dog. Mom was given to us. She's a little small. She's half Great Pyrenees, half Anatolian Shepherd. We cannot touch her. She was given to us and came off of a huge ranch where they do not touch puppies at all. Not my personal favorite way on raising puppies. I like doing hands-on, but regardless, she is still an excellent guard dog. Puppies are doing amazing. Anybody or any animal that comes up to our property that they know is not supposed to be here, I'm telling you, they are on top of it. They are barking, they're growling. So the instinct is there. So if you guys are looking for an LGD puppy, we have some available, and hopefully this video helps you out. And like I said, reach out if you need to. You guys have a blessed day.